Hey guys, this is Dana, and this is episode number 56 of the Ask a Question show, the show in which you ask a question about any type of narcissistic or otherwise abusive or toxic relationship or situation, and I, along with the rest of the community here, will do our very best to help answer it. Our goal is to give you the feedback and the support that you need so that you can move forward in getting all of the clarity, closure, and healing possible. And today's question has to do with guilt. And so this comes from a member of our audience, and she asks, Dear Dana, the emotional pain is incredibly difficult. My husband had an affair, and I've told him if he wanted to make our marriage work, that he would have to do certain things to go about restoring it, such as therapy and actually making changes in his life, none of which he's done. I saw him the other day because I have to see him due to we have kids together, and he had the nerve to ask me what our plans were as a family after all the smoke clears and he moves back in and things become back to normal. I can't handle the guilt anymore. The guilt from leaving my husband is so great, even though I know my soul has been crushed and I can just no longer tolerate this. So, what do I do? So, this is a fantastic question, and there's two main points that I want to bring up here. The first one is that you're not leaving your husband. Your husband left you guys. He was the one that did all of this bad behavior. So he is the one that had that deal breaker behavior. He's the one that broke the deal, not you. You're the one that has to now be forced with actually moving forward with those consequences of him breaking the deal, which means, possibly divorcing, possibly, not being together under the same roof as a family. And that's incredibly painful. But his bad behavior is not your fault. And so this brings me to my second point of guilt. There's two types of guilt. There's appropriate guilt and then there's inappropriate guilt. And appropriate guilt would be something that your husband should be feeling, right? So he had some sort of bad behavior, that he's the one that should be feeling guilty about that. And it sounds like he's not. He's too busy trying to manipulate you into just letting him back in under the same roof, even though nothing has changed. He hasn't lifted a finger to try to make your marriage work, as it sounds like from your message. So it's then that kind of brings me to inappropriate guilt. So inappropriate guilt is when we feel guilty, or when people feel guilty about behavior or consequences of behavior that is not their own. So if he had an affair, there's nothing for you to feel guilty about because you weren't the one that broke up the family. You weren't the one that had the bad behavior. He did. Okay, so that brings us to today, right? And so now you're having these feelings of, well, but it's hard on my kids, and we're having this broken home, and I didn't want, you're having all of these really uncomfortable and saddening feelings, and you feel like the bad guy because you're having to draw that line in the sand and say, no, you can't come home. I can't tolerate this in my life. So I think maybe it would help to use some different words to describe that, because it's not appropriate guilt. Okay. I can understand feeling bad, feeling sad, feeling sad for your children, that, okay, now that they have divorced parents, feeling disappointed, feeling hurt, feeling disillusioned, feeling angry. So I would encourage you to kind of think about some other words that are describing how you feel, because this guilt is not yours to own. It's his. And so now you're kind of left to pick up the pieces and drive on. But I think it'll really help you to do so if you can find some other words that can really frame what's going on with you and your relationship in a more appropriate context. So I hope that helps. I'll be really curious to see what everybody else has to say, and we'll continue this conversation down below and we'll go from there. So as always, lots of love to you guys. You're not alone, you're not crazy, and you really can move forward and heal from all of this. So take care, and I will talk to you soon. Bye.